Hey everyone, welcome to the 12 Man Insight Podcast. I'm Mo. I'm here with your boy Tommy. Tommy, what's up? What's up? It's that time of the year, off season time, off season podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Doing well. We're in full off season mode. We're down to our final four in the NFL. So just about everybody's in off season mode now. But we got some good games this weekend, and we got some Seahawks ball to talk about today.
What a great couple of games, man. Let's see if we find time to talk about those games. Really excited about this weekend's game as well. Man, the NFL, man, it's always the best sport, best NFL, best game out there. Let's talk about the draft, though. You got your mock draft in today. Yeah, so that's Tommy Mock Draft 1.0. We want to beat Mel Kiper and those folks, man. So
Oh yeah.
let's see your mock draft.
All right. So welcome to Tommy's mock draft version one. It's January. It's cold out. Season's not even done yet. So we don't know really anything about this draft landscape yet. We're gonna do no trades just to keep it set, and let's jump right into it. So the Tennessee Titans have the first pick, and I have them selecting Abdul Carter, the edge out of Penn.
Damn.
And the reason why is because, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the top 10 picks than we may for the rest of the picks. So just bear with us here. But the reason why is Tennessee's got a new GM, right? And if that GM isn't sold on this quarterback class, why would he take a guy that could basically run him out of a job if it's not a good pick, you know? And I think Abdul Carter is an extremely talented prospect and can transform a defense such as Micah Parsons did with the Dallas Cowboys a couple years ago. And so I think Tennessee takes a guy that they could pair with Jeffrey Simmons on that front and really start to wreak havoc, and then kind of dip into the quarterback classes in the next 2 years.
So
And
you're
so with
saying,
this,
Tommy, that that number one pick is potentially up for grabs. Like there's a team
yeah,
that might get it.
Yeah, and I don't think Tennessee is set on who they're picking yet. Obviously we are in January, the draft's in late April, so there's plenty of time to figure it out. Maybe talk some trades. I do, they got to do their due diligence. If they get the King's ransom, and then of course they'll trade the pick. If they fall in love with the quarterbacks, and they'll take a quarterback. But I think, in my eyes, I think they take the most talented front seven defensive player in this draft and just move forward and start building that defense up. And so with the second pick, we have the Cleveland Browns. And I have them taking the best pure prospect in this draft, Travis Hunter, wide
Oh
receiver,
man.
corner from Colorado. He should be corner in the league. I project him to be a corner in the league. It's a much more valuable position. Teams value them obviously a lot higher than receiver. And so you get a guy like that. I mean, he's a can't miss prospect. He's the best. He is the best college football player I've ever seen in person. I was luckily able
Wow.
to be on the sideline last year when we played Colorado and was able to see him play. And obviously, if you watched the TCU Colorado game, he made some pretty spectacular plays. And yeah, I was front and center for that. I mean, he's got incredible body control, instincts. He really is going to be a great player in this league.
Great one, great one. No quarterback again, huh, Tommy? So you
No
got an issue with
quarterback
these
yet.
quarterbacks,
No
man.
quarterback yet.
All right.
So
No, I
I
like the
do
pick,
think that
man.
this quarterback class has its questions and concerns. So I do think that the draft may reflect on what the league thinks of this quarterback class. And so with the
Kind
third
of like
pick,
the
yeah,
2022 class, but yeah.
totally. And with the third pick, we have the New York Giants. Here comes our first quarterback, Cam Ward. Cam
Oh
Ward.
man,
And
in the
it's
Big
Cam Ward.
Apple.
Yep. And it's Cam Ward. Why? Because you hear people talking all week or all weekend about Jaden Daniels. And what do they say? He's so poised. He's so poised. I'll give you a quarterback that's poised. Cam Ward. That dude plays with confidence, poise. He can make any throw. Extremely, extremely talented guy. You have to respect his run ability, which we're coming to see is a very valuable thing. A quarterback has to be able to run. He has to be able to, be able to get some extra yards with his legs, and that's starting to become more important in today's quarterback. So, and we're seeing it. I mean, look at the last four quarterbacks left. They can all run. I mean,
Yeah,
Mahomes might not be the freakiest athlete, but you have to respect his legs. And
yeah.
so Yeah,
I like it.
that's
I
a,
like it. I like it. I like the pick, man. Cam Ward is a dog, bro. I used to love watching him here in Washington State when he played with played at Wazoo, especially in that Apple Cup. You know, going against that number one team, that UW number one team, and he was undermanned, man. He didn't have enough weapons. His team wasn't great, but he was poised. He was slinging that thing, man. Obviously had another monster year at Miami, but great choice, man. I like Cam Ward, and I think he'll make New York better. Him and Malik Neighbors are going to be special.
yes, yes, absolutely. So I think that would be a great pick for New York to kind of turn things around. I mean, New York has to take a quarterback. They have to. When we letting Daniel Jones go, unless they want to dip into the free agent market, which I would not suggest. I think that's their guy. And so with the fourth pick, we have the New England Patriots. And I have them taking the wide receiver out of Arizona, Tet McMillan. And it's not a very Patriots, the Patriots that passed taking a receiver in the first round. No way, no way.
Mhm.
But this guy gives me shades of a more athletic Mike Evans. Maybe a little bit weaker at the catch point, but he can do a lot more after the run. And his acceleration at his size, his speed at his size is incredible. And so I think they got to get Drake May a guy. They could get T Higgins in free agency. That's a trendy name. They could trade for a guy, but we're gonna since that hasn't happened yet, we're gonna have them taking Ted McMillan there at number 4.
So you're saying that the Patriots are going wide receiver. So there's reporting out there that they'll probably hire Mike Vrabel as their new head coach. And knowing Mike Vrabel, do you think he'll go for a wide receiver?
Yeah,
I don't
and
know,
that,
man. I think he'll
and
probably
that's
go in the trenches.
that's an excellent point. I mean, they need offensive line help, and that
Mhm.
is absolutely a direction they could go. And they could address receiver and trades or free agency and go ahead and take a tackle. But I could also see him, flipping the script and going trenches and free agency or via trade and taking a receiver in the first round. I mean,
That's
I mean,
true.
Mike Vrabel did. I mean, it wasn't the first round pick, but Mike Vrabel did comfortably take AJ Brown, with an early
Mhm.
pick in the draft, and AJ Brown was a really good prospect coming out. So I mean, if you have an opportunity to take a receiver and you didn't get your guys in free agency, I mean, this is wide receiver one in this draft to me without a doubt. I don't think I think he is in his own tier, and then there's that next group of guys. So moving on to pick number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've got them taking Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU. I
I
think
see you. Okay.
Trevor. It is time to protect Trevor Lawrence. And I think this year, it wasn't like an injury where he got sacked in the pocket, but that injury right there was kind of the signal that we need to protect Trevor Lawrence. He can't take hits like that anymore. And Will Campbell's my best offensive lineman in this draft. And he's the first LSU offensive lineman to ever be given number 7, who was given to the likes of Patrick Peterson, Tyron Matthew, Grant Delpit, all those guys. It's a great number to have at LSU. It's a very important number to have at LSU, and obviously he can't wear it in games, but he got to wear it at practice, and his personality checks out, the film checks out. I think this would be a great pick for Jacksonville.
I like it. I like it. No comment on my side. I love it.
All right, then moving on to number 6, we got the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
It's Shedeur Sanders time in Las Vegas.
Ooh. Let me correct you. The Pete Carroll led Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
Let's go.
I think there's just too many things trending in that direction. I mean, there's no everyone could talk about, it's a coincidence that Mark Davis is talking to Shedeur Sanders every time he sees. No, that's relationship building. Mark
Yeah.
Davis knows Shedeur Sanders well already, and Vegas is obviously in the market for a quarterback. I thought they'd take one last year. They didn't, and I think at number 6 they're going to jump on the opportunity and take Shedeur Sanders right there.
Man, I love this pick. I think Shador is going to get some weapons. Brock Bowers is going to be a beast, safety blanket for him. You got a great defense. I think that line probably needs some repair, but I think great situation for Shador, man. I think he can excel, especially when you're in the AFC West. You got Herbert, Mahomes, and right now Bo Nix. Like coming up. So you need a quarterback. So I love this pick.
Shadur Sanders at 6, I feel like the Raiders would consider perfect timing.
Yep.
All right. And then at number 7, we have the New York Jets. And I have them taking Mason Graham, the defensive tackle
Oh,
out of Michigan. I mean,
nice.
guy's a specimen. He very had a just multiple fantastic seasons. Just a game wrecker up in the middle. Can stop the run. Can rush the passer. He's built really well. I mean, to me, this is just the best interior pass rusher, interior defender in the entire draft. And the Jets do pair him with Quinnen Williams, and
Mm.
that could be a nice little duo, very disruptive there, and help their secondary out as well. And I could also see him going offensive line,
Mm.
but today I'm going to tag him for Mason Graham, and we'll kind of see how the offseason goes. We might change that.
I like this pick, man, especially Aaron Glenn coming in. And Aaron Glenn, man, he wants to play man coverage and he wants to rush the passer. So, what better weapon to have than Graham over there in New York? So I love it, man.
And you don't think Aaron Glenn isn't hearing about Mason Graham, Ann Arbor to Detroit? It's not very
Oh,
far. You
yep.
you definitely are hearing about it. So at number 8 for the Carolina Panthers, we have them taking cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. Back to back Wolverines.
I see you. All right.
I can't. He's a little different than Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is a very polarizing athlete, played both ways. But Will Johnson is a great corner prospect in his own right. I feel like he wasn't talked about as much this year just because of Michigan's struggles. But last year, he was fantastic. And this year, he had another great year. I mean, he is long, lengthy, good in man, good in zone. He can lock you up. He can be a true shutdown corner on the outside for a team, and I think Carolina needs to address the cornerback position, and I think they would do it right there at number 8 and take Will Johnson, who some may argue is the best cornerback, pure cornerback prospect in this draft.
I see you, man. I like this pick, man. I like this pick, man. You can never go wrong with adding to your defensive players, and let's see how it goes up there, man. I think they're gonna build something special over there. I like Bryce Young's development, man, and we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. And then with pick number 9, we have the New Orleans Saints. And I have them taking James Pierce from Tennessee, the edge rusher. Talk about freak, specimen. I mean, James Pierce is as athletic as edges come. And this guy, he's got an extremely high ceiling. Extremely high ceiling. He may not be the most polished guy yet, but what he can turn into is a top tier edge rusher in the NFL. And I don't think he'll come out guns blazing right away out of the gates, but I do think after some time of development, he can really shine, especially in that system. I think with the Saints, they have a system that does favor edge rushers, and I think he'd pair well with Cam Jordan. And Cam Jordan's not getting any younger too, so that's a guy that could carry on after Cam Jordan's done in New Orleans and kind of lead the charge for that pass rush there.
Is his pass rush style? What do you think? Is it more of like Von Miller, bull rush type of person? Or is it type of twitchy spin move?
Twitch
It yeah,
speed,
Aiden
he's
Hutchinson.
fast, very fast, very fast. So yeah, I mean, the Saints get themselves a guy, get themselves quite an athlete there on the edge. And so let's jump to pick number 10, the Chicago Bears, and new head coach Ben Johnson.
Let's see. Okay.
I, I have them taking Kelvin Banks out of Texas, and Kelvin Banks is an interesting prospect because he's going to be all over the place. He is going to be all over the place in this draft, this pre-draft process. I think I've seen him as low as the second round, and I've seen him as high as top 10. I'm going to put him in the top 10. We're talking
Okay.
about a guy that came in for Texas, started as a true freshman, and was fantastic from day one and has been fantastic since. There are questions about his footwork. That's teachable. You can teach that. That's fine. But what he brings to the table is also positional versatility. If you want to slide him into guard, that's fine. If you want to keep him at tackle, that's good too. I am really high on Kelvin Banks. I'm probably higher on Kelvin Banks than a lot of people are. I think he's going to come in and be such a solid player right off the rip. for Chicago if they take him at 10. And they need to address the offensive line. They also could add an edge, but with James Pierce off and Abdul Carter off, I think they jump in and grab Kelvin Banks.
I like this pick, man. I like this pick, especially if Ben Johnson brings his buddy Hank Fraley to Chicago as his offensive coordinator, developing first round talent. That guy knows how to develop offensive linemen. And hopefully the Seattle Seahawks get him. But if not, man, Chicago's going to get a great dude, man, in Hank Fraley to develop those young offensive linemen.
Absolutely. And so we're out of top 10. So we're going to try to, speed it up just a little bit, start running through some names, a little bit less description, but, we're going to do our best just to, explain why, why that pick is there. So at pick 11, we have the San Francisco 49ers. And I have them taking Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, the defensive lineman. And why? He fits their profile. 6'6", long, can slide on the inside, gives you some versatility. It was a part of a really good Texas A&M front this year. And yeah, he's a big profile fit for San Francisco. That's the biggest thing for me. And obviously he's a great player. And so I think that'd be a good fit and someone San Francisco will look at. And then moving on to pick number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. Should have been Heisman, running back out of Boise State, Ashton Jeanty.
Oh, man. I see you.
Jerry Jones will not be able to help himself. I know it. There's more to it than just they need a running back. They do need a running back. The run game has just not been up to par for Dallas, and I do think he'd be a good player. He played his high school ball in the DFW area. And we know who Ashton Jeanty is. We know who he is. Yeah. If you don't now, then I don't know where you've been. But also Jerry Jones, he likes money, and you know what makes money? Jersey sales. And what jerseys of a first round pick running back that was well known in college football will sell, and it'll sell tickets, it'll sell jerseys, and I think that right there. I'm not just coming at the Cowboys. That is a need of theirs, and so there's that as well. But I think that is going to play a big factor into it. And so with pick 13, we have the Miami Dolphins. I have them taking the other Michigan interior defender, Kenneth Grant, the other defensive tackle for Michigan. More or less, it starts to get really subjective with interior defenders at this point. After Mason Graham's gone, it starts to, it can open up, right? You've got Derek Harmon. You got Tyleik Williams, so it's all subjective at this point. But I like Kenneth Grant. I like what he did for Michigan, and I like what he brings to the table. And that's a position of need for Miami. They also need offensive line, and I would not be surprised to see them jump there as well. Trenches for Miami. I like them to address interior defensive line right there with Kenneth Grant. And so let's move on to pick 14, the Indianapolis Colts. I have them taking Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia.
Oh, man, what a dude.
He is a dude. And I think that's a dude that could really help the back end of Indianapolis's defense. Just a productive player, versatile. I mean, he is such a solid player all around. He gives you a little bit of everything. Safety might not be the most valuable pick in the top 15. And so that might be why he falls. I could see the Colts maybe taking Tyler Warren from Penn State there as well, as tight ends start to, garner more value in the league. But, with where we stand today, I like them to grab Malachi Starks and really short that back end there on that defense and plug and play right away. And I think he'd be a really productive player for him.
Yeah, I think he's special too, man. I think he's the type of guy who can give you multiple picks a year. He's a Pro Bowl type of player, man. I like that player, and I think he'll make any defense better. You're right. The value statement, especially with right now, safeties getting paid less than before, might drop to even second round. I think so, but you never know, man. I think he's a special talent. I think he might go first round.
Absolutely. And so with pick 15, we have the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons will be sprinting this card to the podium. Michael Williams, the edge out of Georgia.
Mm.
I mean, that is the perfect scheme fit for them. And they missed on Dallas Turner last year. That was kind of the word around the league before the draft that they were going Dallas Turner. They shocked the world on draft night and picked Michael Penix. This year they turn around and have a horrific pass rush.
Mhm.
They are going to address it. Yeah, they traded for Judon, try to help some things, but it needs more help. And Michael Williams is a fantastic prospect out of Georgia, and he fits them very well. I think that is an instant plug and play for the Falcons. They'll be sprinting that card to the podium, and yeah, they'll get their guy. Also close to Atlanta, same deal. Close to Atlanta, you hear a lot about him. You're going to hear a lot about him. So let's jump to pick 16, Arizona Cardinals. I have them picking Nick Scorton, the edge out of Texas A&M.
Mm.
And so I think with Arizona there, they're starting to think about, oh shoot, there's a lot more edges going off the board. We're going to have to jump in it now if we want to get one of our guys. And I think Nick Scorton is kind of that first tier guy. He's the last of the first tier. I think after that, it drops off just a little bit, and I think they want to kind of get into that first tier of edge rushers. And Nick Scorton was extremely productive, another player on that really good Texas A&M front. Primarily an edge guy for them, and so I think what he would do is just give the Cardinals a real pass rushing option there with that in the first round. I think it's a position or a part that I need to address, and I think they'll do it right there and take Nick Gordon.
Great pass rusher class, man. I love this rushers class. Great.
And so let's jump to pick 17 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals could go receiver here if they lose T. Higgins, but there is something they need much, much more than wide receiver, and that is offensive line. They need offensive line.
Yeah.
It is a necessity. It is no longer like we should do this, like it's you need to do this. And so I have them taking kind of a trend we're seeing in some of these picks. A local guy, Josh Simmons from Ohio State. I think at that point, again, I got to dive in much deeper. He's not my favorite offensive lineman prospect at this point. There's one guy, and I'll mention him when he comes up. But local guy, again, same thing. Easier to scout than others. Better connections to hear about him. So you kind of want that safety blanket. But he's a guy that he's going to have to come in and start day one for Cincinnati. I mean, they desperately need the offensive line help, and I'm sure they will address it in free agency as well. But yeah, they've got to address it in the draft, and so I think that's who they're going to take right there. So let's jump to big pick number 18 with the Seattle Seahawks. So I have Seattle taking, and this is going to be a surprise. I don't know if Seahawks fans are going to like this, but I've got them taking Nick Emanwari, the safety from South Carolina.
Ooh, I see.
And
That is a surprise, man. All right.
and this is a guy that I think this is going to be. I might be the only person on the planet that's going to have Nick Emanwari in the first round at this point, right?
Yeah.
This guy is going to go to the combine at 6'4", 215 pounds, and test off the charts. And he is going to climb. And Mike McDonald is going to get his Kyle Hamilton right there.
Yeah. And and his scheme is linebacker and safety dependent, man. That's like those are the stars of his scheme. And like I can see Mike McDonald looking at this guy and saying, "Man, I got to have a difference maker and upgrade at what I have." Even though Kobe and Love have been great, but man, so you think he can come in right away and push those guys for a starting position?
Yes, absolutely. And he gives us a different look than what we have. I mean, we don't have any 6'4" guys back there.
Yeah,
He's a guy that can come in at sub linebacker, play in the box a little bit, but he can give you some good stuff on the back end as well. And Mike McDonald needs that lengthy big safety with versatility. He needs that, and I think he's one of the few guys in this class that have that. And I
Hmm.
think he's not going to pass up on the opportunity when he has the chance to do it. And we could trade back and maybe take him as well, but since we're not doing trades here, and I want to jump on it because I think he's going to be a climber. I think he's going to be a climber in this process. So I think that's a guy that would be a great fit for Seattle. Maybe not the biggest need,
Yeah.
but I do think that he would come in and be a fantastic fit for us.
And John Schneider, he changed his draft philosophy of need versus best player available, right? So I think he'll go with the best player available.
Absolutely. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I would be really excited. I would be worried about the offensive line still, but that would be, an exciting draft pick. I think that would really help our defense. But fun player. Like if anybody's watching this, you gotta check him out. I mean, he'd be a good ad for this defense. Someone you're going to hear about a lot more. So let's jump to pick number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have them picking Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia,
Oh,
and I
okay.
and I think that Jalen Walker would just be a really nice fit on that defense. And Levante David's not getting any younger. They still need that other linebacker there. I believe it was KJ Britt this year for Tampa, and he didn't quite get it done. And I think that's a position that they need to address. And so for me, I think he is, one of the best off-ball linebackers in this draft class, if not the best. And I think that's just a pretty much a plug-and-play pick for Tampa right there.
And look, if the Seahawks don't sign Ernest Jones for some crazy reason, Walker is probably a Seahawk.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could see it. It'll be really interesting on draft night where they go, and we'll get a lot more of an idea as we get closer. But yeah, I think that's just an easy plug and play for Tampa right there. Not a whole lot more to say there. And let's go to pick number 20, the Denver Broncos. There is one position that Denver has lacked since Julius Thomas, and that's tight end. And they're going to go get Tyler Warren from Penn State. And
Ooh.
Tyler Warren, we saw him in the playoff a little bit. He just brings, tight ends are becoming more valuable. Tight ends, all the good teams in the league have a good tight end. They have a good tight end. And it doesn't have to be a great tight end, but they at least have a good tight end. And that's a position that Denver desperately needs. He gives you a lot. He gives you a lot of different looks. He's not your prototypical tight end. Penn State use him a lot of different ways, and I feel like Sean Payton, that he would be able to find ways to utilize him outside of just being attached to the line and just a standard tight end. So I think that'd be another easy pick for Denver. That's going to be a trendy one. I've seen that a lot. But yeah, Tyler Warren.
I like that pick, man. I think Sean Payton is definitely known for using tight ends, a lot of multiple 13 personnel, 12 personnel schemes. So yeah, man, let's see where he goes. But I think Bo Nix is definitely not going to be angry for getting that pick.
Absolutely. And then pick 21, we got the Steelers. And this pick's going to make me so mad on draft night because it's going to be a great pick. It's just going to be such a good pick. I have them taking Jahdae Barron from Texas. This
Oh,
guy can ball. I mean, he is a baller. He's versatile. I mean, he can give you a little bit of everything. You can put him almost anywhere in that secondary, and he's going to ball out. He's just such a smart player, productive. He was the leader on that defense this year for Texas. I mean, this is just such a Steelers pick. It's such a Steelers pick. They're high character guy. I mean, just all the way right there. I mean, that would be a great pick. And if we didn't have Devin Witherspoon, I'd be chalking Jahdae Barron to the Seahawks, very quick. Because I see him as definitely like a slot guy. I think he'd be really effective there in the slot.
yeah, you're right because he
And
does remind
so,
me of a
yeah, that's a
spoon
great
type of
pick.
energy as well. His energy kind of reminds me of Spoon as well.
Absolutely. So let's go to pick 22, the LA Chargers. I've got them taking Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri. A little bit of a down year this year, but if you look at the rest, I mean, he is a dude. And, the physical intangibles were still there this year. I mean, this guy is a baller. And the Chargers desperately need a true number one receiver. And Luther Burden will give them a guy they don't have on that offense, and he can do a little bit of everything for you. He can even be a punt returner. You don't need to do that though. Darius Davis, go Frogs. But he gives you a lot. He gives you a lot, and he's a very talented player. He's definitely not a top 20 guy for me after this past season, but with everything else he has, he has shown us through the other seasons he's a first rounder. I think I'm not sure what happened, in Columbia this year, but he is a guy that LA will be very excited to pick there at 22. And then let's jump to 23, the Green Bay Packers. Another receiver's going off the board here. We saw him last night, Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Green Bay has a lot of guys, but they don't have the dude. And I think Emeka could come in and be the dude in that receiver core. Green Bay does. They have a lot of talented guys, but they just, and I know I'm repeating myself, they just need the guy. They don't have that. The ball gets spread around a lot, which is effective in ways, but if you have a true guy that a defense needs to focus on, that'll open up a lot more for those guys. And Emeka's, really good. He's a winner. Obviously just won the national championship. He was Emeka. He's the second best receiver on that Ohio State team. There's a guy that's coming in 27 that will absolutely take the cake there. But yeah, I mean, that'd be a great pick for Green Bay, and that assesses a need that I feel that they need to have.
Yeah. Even Matt LaFleur said, like, we don't have a number one receiver. Like, everybody's number one. I mean, if this guy comes in, he won't say that.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. And so, yeah, we'll jump to the other NFC North team, the Minnesota Vikings. And I have them taking Benjamin Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, who unfortunately didn't play last night. And hasn't played in a little bit, but he is just such a solid corner. He's got solid size, solid speed. And Minnesota desperately needs to address those corners. That was probably one of their big weaknesses on defense this year. I thought their front seven was great. I thought they were really good on defense for the most part, but there was one fatal flaw for them, and I thought was the cornerback position. So I think they go grab Benjamin Morrison, who was a part of Notre Dame secondary, who I thought was the best secondary in the country this year, and he can help shore up that secondary there in Minnesota, and I think he's the best corner available at this point. And yeah, it'd be an easy pick for Minnesota there, plug and play. And so let's jump to pick number 25, the Houston Texans. I have them taking Armand Membo, the tackle out of Missouri. Big dude, powerful guy. Houston needs to protect C.J. Stroud. I think they slide him right onto that right tackle spot. And I think that's a very solid pick. They're just addressing the offensive line. Again, not my favorite offensive lineman draft prospect at this point in the draft. That one's coming. We'll talk about him when he gets here. But I think that's a guy that Houston will target and go ahead and end up picking eventually. And so let's jump to number 26 with the LA Rams. And now here is my third favorite offensive lineman prospect. And of course, the LA Rams will be taking him because that's how things go in this division. I have them taking Jonah Savannah, the offensive lineman from Arizona. And I will be sick to my stomach on draft night when they take
Me too,
guy.
man. That guy's a dude, bro.
He is a dude. And I think he's a guy, along with Eamon Worry and a couple other, he will probably rise. When draft night comes around and Roger goes on the stage, I mean, he could be slotted, top 15, just depending on how the offensive linemen go off the board as well. But he's a guy that I really like, and for some reason just think will fall right into the Rams' lap and this current day, which would be really frustrating because I'd love for Seattle to take him as well. And for the Rams to be able to jump on that would be really tough. But that would be a fantastic pick for him. And he's a great player, and I do expect him to rise, as we go through the draft process. And so let's jump to pick number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be an interesting pick, but this seems like a very Ravensy pick. I have them taking Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall,
Okay.
who was part of the best defense in the Sun Belt, was the best player on the best defense in the Sun Belt this year. Not a big name that maybe not a lot of people know about yet. But man, this guy was productive this year at Marshall. And, he obviously a premium position at edge. Some of the top tier guys that come off the board, I think the Ravens have an ability to, take a bit of a flyer, but not really. I mean, this guy is really good. I don't want to act like, he's a shot in the dark. Like Mike Green is a fantastic prospect. There's obviously going to be questions about, level of play, and hopefully, as we get to the Senior Bowl, I'm not sure if he's in the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl. He's in one of those, but hopefully he's able to go up against some top competition and potentially help his draft stock there as well, because if I'm not mistaken, he had 17 sacks this year.
Mm.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. That could be career, but I think I saw it was 17 on the season. So, yeah, very productive player there, and would be, fits a need for Baltimore.
Yeah, I always see that the Ravens, they always go for those measurables type of players. People, those,
Totally.
right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what they do. And yes, Mike Green did have 17 sacks this year. I just want to make sure I wasn't lying. 17 sacks this year for Marshall, 3 forced fumbles. Productive guy. So, and you're gonna hear a lot more about this guy as we get closer to the draft, because right now it's easy because we just wrapped up the season. Everyone's talking about the national championship, but now it's draft season. Now we're gonna find out about all of these guys, right? And that's one we're definitely gonna hear about. And so let's jump to pick 28, the Detroit Lions. This is such a Dan Campbell Detroit pick. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State.
Yeah, he has a Dan Campbell type of name too. Jack Sawyer. I like it.
Yep. Jack Sawyer. I think that is just a Detroit guy to a T. I think when it comes to the interviews, he's going to kill it. I think this is total projection, but I think this is a guy that I really think that this is a guy that Detroit's going to fall in love with in the process. And I think through interviews and how he tests and just with the film, I think this is a guy that Detroit will really, really fall in love with. And so let's jump to pick 29, the Washington Commanders. And so let me preface, obviously 29 to 32 could go anyway at this point. So this is what's projected based off PFF. But yeah, so we've got them taking Trey Amos, the corner out of Ole Miss. And what Trey Amos is peak Dan Quinn. Outside corner, good size, and can match up with anybody. He reminds me, he's like a Deron Bland a little bit,
Mm.
He's good in man, he's good in zone, but he will go up and match up with anybody. And Washington needs corners. They really do. Mike Sandstro was great, but he's in the slot, the nickel. Amos, slide him right on the outside, and he can really lock you up. He can stick with receivers. He's aggressive at times, maybe too aggressive at times, but I know Dan Quinn will have no problem with that. He loves that. He loves corners that are aggressive, go after the ball, can mirror receivers, and that's exactly what Trey Amos is. I think that would be kind of a layup pick in terms of scheme fit and player type that Commanders and Dan Quinn will be looking for. And so, yeah, we're going to jump to pick 30 here, the Buffalo Bills. And this player here is definitely going to be a riser in this process as well. And he's starting to already garner a little bit of momentum on that, but I got them taking Matthew Golden, the receiver out of Texas. This guy gives you a little bit of everything. He really took off. He was at the University of Houston. This was his only year at Texas. Before that, he was at UH, and he was phenomenal there. He was really good as a kick returner there. Um, and then this year at Texas, he was given more of an opportunity as a receiver, and he really popped off and showed a lot of great things. And Buffalo obviously traded for Amari Cooper. They've got some guys, but I don't know if they're they've got Keon, they got Amari, they've got Khalil Shakir, so it might not be a need. And Bills fans might be coming for my throat, but why would we take a receiver? You know, if you well, depends on what Buffalo thinks of Matthew Golden, because I know the league loves Matthew Golden, and I know Buffalo would not hurt to give Josh Allen another weapon, because part of Buffalo's argument for Josh Allen MVP is he has no help. So I guess we got to get him help, and
Yes.
so we there you go. There it is right there. Matthew Golden, who I think will sneak into the first round, maybe early second, but he'll be a top 50 pick this year.
And the Bills are doing amazing, and with more weapons, look out, man. I don't. It's just crazy why Joe Brady's not getting more head coaching opportunities, but in interviews. But
Absolutely.
that guy's killing it, man.
Absolutely. And so with pick 31, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have them taking Cam Williams, the tackle out of Texas. And don't turn on Cam Williams film in the Ohio State game, the Cotton Bowl. Don't do that. That'll leave you with a real bad taste in your mouth. But he is the most Eagles pick, because the Eagles love building the trenches, and he's not a guy that's going to have to come in and start right away. You know, depending on I'm not sure what Mekhi Becton's status is, but that's a guy that you could maybe slide into guard to replace Mekhi Becton, or you could leave him at tackle to eventually replace Lane Johnson. Lane is an older guy who we're not sure how many years he has left, but it's a good development piece for the Eagles there, and I think that's what they would target, because they do love the trenches. I could see him going a bunch of different ways. Maybe edge, with Zach Bond potentially getting a lot of money this offseason. I'm not sure the Eagles are going to be able to retain him. So that's another look. But as of today, again, there's just so many moving pieces, and my mock draft in April will look a lot different than this one. But I have them taking Cam Williams there at 31. And so let's jump to number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Chiefs taking Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. In
Damn,
this,
that's crazy, man. The Chiefs somehow they end up with great players every year, even though they win the Super Bowl.
absolutely, and I think this is a guy, because he does have some questions as a blocker.
Mm.
Um, Last year on Michigan's Natty team, AJ Barner was the best blocking tight end they had on that roster. Colston Loveland as a receiver is legit,
Yeah.
and the Chiefs he fits that Chiefs tight end profile. Um, I know they know about him, obviously, but I think that's a guy that they would start thinking about, having behind Travis Kelce, maybe run a little bit more two tight end sets, but also once Travis Kelce's done, which I feel like is sooner than people think, that's instant replacement right there that they can develop under Travis until his time's done.
Nice, nice. I like
And
it,
so
man.
that's mock draft. That's mock draft number one. Hate it, love it. It's January. We'll see where things go. Free agency, trades, the pre-draft process, the combine, pro days. All this will have to happen. Things will change, but this is what we've got on January. So
I love it. I love it, man. So there you go, Tommy Mock Draft 1.0. Whatever you think about it, guys, love it or hate it, just put your comments down below. Let us know what you think, your feedback. Also, feel free to be sure to subscribe and like the show. And thanks for listening again. Hope you guys are having a great day. 12th man out.